Timothy from FS Securities. We are an education and information firm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And every morning I go through what happened in financial markets around the world and try to forecast what we may see these coming days and weeks. I'll show you how investors and traders may make money on our stock market and the global market as well. I'll show you what is hot and what is not, and what you should hold and what you should fold. And by the way, if you have any feedback on our presentation, we obviously like you to actually share it, review it, and give us some feedback if you will. Well, overnight and from around the globe, we start with the Dow. You can see here the Dow dropped 2.7%, 710 points, wiping out all the profit it made the previous 2 days. The S&P 500 was down 2.6%, and the Nasdaq for the first time in many days dropped 2.2% and below 10,000 for the first time, as I mentioned, in many days. In Europe, the Stoxx 50 index, which comprises most major European markets, was down 3.1%, and you can see here most European markets were down. In Japan, the Nikkei was almost steady, down 0.1%, and in China the Shanghai index was down was up 0.4%. Our market yesterday, we actually had very quiet 3 days. 2 points higher 3 days ago, 10 points higher 2 days ago, and yesterday we had 11 points higher. The futures this morning showing that most likely the market will open 1.6% down, 92 points lower. Gold at 1,771 compared to yesterday morning, that's down $11. Silver $17.72, down from yesterday. Copper slightly down from yesterday. Brent oil down 5.4%, $2.32 US per barrel. Crude oil almost steady, however still nearly $2 less than yesterday morning. The Australian dollar 68.65, down nearly 0.5%. Against the euro 61.01, and against the British pound 55.2. Okay, looking at the charts, the weekly chart for the Dow still above the 21-week moving average, and is trying to actually consolidate around that point, which is at 20,545. On the daily chart, the parabolic stop and reverse shown by those red dots above the candles, that's bearish. The stochastic has turned bearish for the first time in probably about 7 days. And the 50-day moving average has almost the same as the 100. It came down for quite a fair way. However, we will see whether it will actually go above it and maybe heads towards the 200-day moving average. On the daily chart, the 9-day moving average still above the 21, that's bullish. However, the candle closed below the 21, that is bearish. I would say it is actually between very bearish for the very aggressive trader or neutral for the rest of the investors and conservative traders. Looking at our Australian market, again our ASX 200, the market gauge, still consolidating around or over the 21-day moving average. On the weekly, we've still got some indicators that happen to be bullish. However, on the daily, most indicators are bearish. Remember, the weekly changes once a week. The recommendation doesn't change until the week is over. And the daily, of course, it changes at the end of each day. So you can see it changes here a lot faster than the changes here. And we trade according to our mechanical system that I have designed over 25 years. You need to have confirmation from the daily towards the weekly. And if you are an investor, we have to get the weekly to confirm with the monthly. And we look at 8 indicators, and we need to have at least 5 indicators in each of those 2 time frames. So there we are. That's the weekly forecast, again from the 5 indicators on 2 time frames. They change only once a week, and these of course they all change every day. So for instance, you can see here on Saturday morning on the 20th, we said the Dow was neutral, and we started the week neutral, and this morning for the first time, for the very aggressive trader, we're seeing bearish signal. And we've had very strong bullish for the Nasdaq for many days, and for the first time in many days for the conservative trader, we've gone neutral. And neutral for the S&P 500, bullish for the gold, even though overnight gold dropped slightly. Silver, we were bullish over 3 days. However, for the conservative trader, we've gone neutral. Crude oil, from strongly bullish to middle of the range for the aggressive trader and the very aggressive trader, we're still bullish. Remember here, we've seen the market in crude oil dropping almost down to 0 and recovered to nearly 40. So the indicators may take a long time to reverse. And for the investor, well, of course it doesn't matter because it's been neutral for a long time. The Australian dollar, we're still neutral. The American basket of currencies, neutral. And the US versus Japanese yen, very strongly bearish. Okay, looking at our market on the daily indicators, we strongly bullish on Newcrest Mines. Well, you can see why, because yesterday Newcrest Mines went up by 2.5%. QBE, we are still bullish for the conservative trader, aggressive trader, very aggressive trader, even though we dropped 14 cents or 1.6% yesterday. Again, that changes not immediately sometimes because some of the indicators happen to be lagging indicators. TPG, we have been bullish for a long time. And Wesfarmers was steady yesterday. BHP neutral, even though it went up by 26 cents, 0.7. And we might see BHP going up today because the price of iron ore in China went up overnight by nearly 2%. It's trading now around 103 US per ton for the iron ore. Okay, now, and by the way, all these slides will be on our website shortly. Looking at volume, yesterday, even though we only went up slightly, nevertheless, 34% of all the stocks went up with an increased volume. And for the last 5 days, we can see that the declines almost the same as the advances over the last 5 days. But the 5 days before, obviously you can see here, the declines were a lot greater than the advances. In terms of the most active, these are the companies that had major increases. However, we only look at those companies above 10 cents. So Paragon Care at 21.5 cents went up by nearly 80% overnight. Talga Resources, Silex, De Grey Mining. Then what we do, we look at the day before and we see if the 2 days have seen similar rises for same company, then really gives us some incentive to go further and look into why they've actually increased in price. Okay, well, if the price increases, we also need to see the volume. So unless the volume has gone higher and the price went higher as well, we don't have confirmation that is actually a strong upward movement. So yesterday we've seen DXs, the price was up nearly 1%. However, the volume over 50-day moving average, which is 5.8 million, well, yesterday we've seen 14.5 million transactions. So we need to know why. The price went up, and we need to see that's the closing price. I want to see what happened during the day. If during the day the price shot up even further and came back, that could also mean that there was momentum, the volume was higher, and then people decided to take profit at the end of the day. And then we will see what happened to DEXs again today and see if the momentum continues. Sonic Health, Newcrest Mines, and GPT. On the downside, Bramble. And by the way, Bramble for 2 days in a row showed a decline in the price and increase in volume. Here, for instance, you can see nearly 6 million transactions per day on an average over 50 days, volume that is. And yesterday the volume was 10.1 million. So the price keeps going down and the volume is higher than average. We want to know why. Okay, in terms of trading CFDs, here you see our trading at the moment. Small profit on ANZ Bank, no profit on Infigen, and small loss on Zip. And that's the day before. Announcement today that may affect the market. Going down here, nothing in Australia. Sorry, here we got Thursday. That was last night. Oh, that would be, sorry, tonight. We might see tonight. There is nothing happening until this afternoon, so I'll jump over. Tomorrow, nothing in Australia, but personal income, monetary loans, unemployment claims. This is important tonight. They expect 1.3 million people will claim for unemployment. That's over and above what they have already, which is nearly 15 million people in America are not unemployed, they're not employed. GDP price index, again, they expect a drop from the 2.5% that the Federal Reserve wanted. Well, we see 1.4. Let's see what happens tonight. Okay, yesterday and day before, these are actually information about what happened. New home sales, that's slightly positive. They expected 637,000 homes to be sold. Well, they ended up with higher than that. And on Tuesday, manufacturing index was 0. PMI, they expected 50, it was 49.6, which is less. That's actually de-escalation going down. Okay, finally, our disclaimer. Remember that the presentation has been prepared for general information only. We don't know your financial circumstances. We don't know what is your risk appetite. And there is no guarantee that everything we said will happen. Of course, there are too many variables, and you need to actually talk to us or talk to your professional advisor before you take any action. And if you have any questions, all you have to do is ask, and these are my details. george@fssecurities.com.au, and if you're ringing from overseas on my mobile, 61 for the country code and 411-259526. Happy trading, and I hope you make some money.